Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to our show. We have gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the multiverse, two of the nerdiest geeks to be found. We proudly present the professor and her geeky girlness herself, Ace. And now it's time. GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show, episode 56 of GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace.
Wait, is it 56 or is it 57? Because our Facebook thing just told me it was 57.
Oh, probably 57 then. Okay, episode 57. If whatever it says on Facebook is probably right there because I did double check that and updated it accordingly, so then I just forgot. So, welcome to episode 57. Wow, that was quick. Today we are graced by our good friend, Mr. Keith Moncrief, who asked to come on to talk a little bit about the WB situation, the news with Batgirl, and many other things that are going on behind the scenes to kind of give us a scoop. And we always appreciate his scoops because they're always amazing, and he knows so much. So we appreciate you coming on, Keith.
Hey.
Welcome to the show. Also, for those just to kind of know, Ace is going to have to leave in a little while. They've got some stuff going on tomorrow morning, not even bright and early. It's going to be dark and early.
I know.
She's got stuff going on, so she will need to leave here in a little while. Just so you know, she's not mad. And
no, I'm storming off. This is ridiculous.
But by the way, before we get started, did you guys see our newest member of GeekyKOOL? Did you see the animation for Ray?
Yes.
Yeah, we've got a new member who is an animated member of our staff. She will be doing videos for us and covering several other things. She's going to be talking Pokemon pretty soon. And and she's also going to be handling some of our other duties, like some of the social media stuff in the future and some other stuff. So we're super excited to have Ray joining us. She's going to be absolutely amazing. Okay. And the avatar is super cute.
How do you say her name? Her
last name?
No,
I think it's Ray. R-E-I is Ray.
Okay. How do you say the last name? The S-A...
Oh, boy. She says it in the video, but I don't remember.
It's super cute, but she said it so fast. I was like, I didn't catch how you say it.
Yeah, we're going to have to ask her. We're going to have her on the show. And by the way, I believe her last name is Japanese, meaning shark, but I'm not 100% sure.
Right. I heard that her little animated heart loves sharks.
Yeah, I think it does. So,
if I may suggest something, why don't you guys just do a whole show with everybody associated with GeekyKOOL? Everybody that has worked articles, just have everybody on.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Can we get that many screens?
You can do
10?
Do something like what we did with the 24-hour feed.
Yeah, and rotate around. Yeah, we will look into that.
24 hours again.
No, we're not doing 24 hours.
Well, you could replicate how they used to have like the bio breakdown at the back of the old Wizard magazine. Name, your favorite comic books, your favorite 3 a.m. snack, stuff like that. Right.
I love those, by the way. The Wizard magazine was great.
Yeah. You guys could do a whole thing where it's like, hey, we're GeekyKOOL, and you could just call it Geeky Fest and just have everybody, reintroduce yourself to new fans, but also current fans and.
Well, and we had been talking, Professor and I have been talking about all kinds of things. We have some big plans for GeekyKOOL that we're hoping to implement. We're going to take this next 6 months to get some things in the works. Some new things on the website, some new things on social media, and just all kinds of things. Now that I have a little bit more time because my job is a little bit more flexible, I I can do some more behind the scenes stuff.
And we're planning the hostile takeovers of all the big media geek stuff. I mean, we're going to take them all. We're in.
We're just incorporating everyone.
Yeah.
If you guys take over G4, let me know.
Yes, that's on the plans.
That one
December.
and IGN.
Most definitely.
Okay, so Keith, I'm gonna admit I don't know a lot that's going on with the Warner Brothers situation. I've been
It's relatively simple. It is. It's like anything else, any other company, mainly in Hollywood. You are welcoming in some new bosses.
Right.
Okay. And this new boss has his own, David Zaslav has his own way of doing things.
Right.
And in various interviews, he's let it be known that he is currently looking over the whole Warner Brothers situation. And like me and several others, he's not been happy with what he's been seeing.
Right.
There's been a lot of people behind the scenes that have done things. And it's one thing to have an opinion. It's another thing to have an opinion and spend company money on that opinion.
Well,
and what makes him
sabotage your own project by doing so.
And that's what's been happening off and on. Really, I'd say for at least the last 20 years, off and on as a company.
Yeah.
They have not been right since they let Alan Horn go.
Right.
And Alan Horn, for those of you who may not know that name, Alan Horn was one of the top guys at Warner Brothers. In fact, I think he ran Warner Brothers for a little bit. And from what I've heard, he was kind of moved out because he was a little up there in age. And yeah, look, ageism runs rampant in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
It does. Which is the stupidest thing ever, because if you learn anything from comic books, it's that just because they're old doesn't mean they're useless.
So basically what you have is Alan Horn, one of the final things that he oversaw before he retired was he brought in the Harry Potter franchise and the Matrix. Okay. Well, he gets hired by the new incoming CEO of Disney, Bob Iger. He comes in, swoops and says, hey, man, I want you to work with me. Right. I got to have you. I mean, he didn't just come in and ask, begged him to join. And ever since he's joined, Alan Horn, who is the head of film for all of Disney, any movie put out under Disney, he is the overall boss that everybody who's involved in film answers to. He was the one, speaking of James Gunn, he's the one that fired James Gunn, not Kevin Feige.
Right.
Because he had the power to do that. He overruled even Feige. So James Gunn had to meet with Alan Horn several times during those months that he was not officially there.
Right.
And Mr. Horn is a guy who is very family oriented. He's a really decent guy, but he also has really good instincts, and he's very good at his job. And I give him all the credit in the world for the success that Disney has had since he has been there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Since Bob Iger's been there, Alan Horn has overseen all of the movies that they put out. And his record of releasing hit films, pretty much when you add in the entire MCU, is an incredible record of films. Yeah. Okay? And this is the guy that got let go.
Right. Plus, he brought in to Warner Brothers before he went over to Disney. He brought in two huge franchises.
The Matrix franchise and Harry Potter
franchise. Like, that's somebody who like you said, has instincts, and yeah.
Well, I give him credit because he was once interviewed, and he flat out just said, he goes, look, I don't know anything about this comic book stuff.
Right.
Kevin Feige does. I trust him. We just go from there. That's pretty simple. And
Right.
unfortunately, not every studio does that.
What?
And I say not every studio. I'm
None.
not just talking about Warner Brothers.
Right.
I mean, Sony does not do that. Fox, well, they don't do that anymore. And Universal doesn't do that. Paramount really doesn't do that.
Right.
It's the reason why I often will tell people Kevin Feige and his cadre, they're not unicorns. I mean, they're not goats. They're unicorns because it's that rare. It
Right.
is that rare. But to get this back onto Warner Brothers, David Zaslav is kind of almost like an idiot savant with numbers. He can memorize numbers and all kinds. I mean, he literally is one of these guys. He's very wealthy. He's very good. He's very determined. But there is a downside. He's one of these guys that he either likes you or he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. There's no in between with him. And quite a few of these people that are still running Warner Brothers are on his naughty list, including the person that is currently heading up DC Entertainment right now, or DC Films right now. All of these movies that they are currently either in production or just finished production are all under a brand new plan, which is the anti-Snyderverse plan.
Right.
Wonder Woman 84, Shazam 2, The Flash, all of that stuff is under that plan. Mr. Zaslav has let people know that, hey, I don't give a care. When I'm in charge, the Snyderverse is back.
Right.
Okay? Which means, and there's nothing that has been done in these movies that cannot be undone once Mr. Zaslav is in control.
Right.
Which means that the next Wonder Woman movie will probably be very different from Wonder Woman 84.
But he's talking to go back to the way the first one was.
Yeah, because again, Mr. Zaslav believes, he's paying you to work,
right,
to give him the best work, and if you can't deliver, there's no reason for you to be here.
Yeah, everybody's replaceable.
Yeah, and there are some people at Warner Brothers right now that didn't think that would happen. So, there's been a lot of problems, and Mr. Zaslav is basically to come in and solve a lot of problems.
So are they just mad scrambling to just say we can do this, or are they just trying to
There are some people that know. There are some people that totally understand that they are not going to be there when Mr. Zaslav gets there. And one of those is the guy currently heading up DC Films, Walter Hamada. But he's just green-lighting like a madman.
Yeah.
And Mr. Zaslav is sitting there and he's looking at how much money's being spent, going, okay, you're costing me this, and you're costing me this, and you're costing me this. Yeah. It makes no sense. Again, he's of the opinion that you guys are idiots if you cannot see how much money people have been throwing at Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Right.
So all of those press releases from Ann Sarnoff, the CEO of Warner Media, she can say whatever she wants. All that's getting reversed. So all that stuff about how Justice League from Joss Whedon is canon and Zack Snyder's isn't, that'll get undone real quick.
It's almost like, and Larry and I were talking about this before the show, because I was I'm not sure what's going on, so fill me in a little bit. But it's very much like a kid who's been failing at all year, and then they're just trying to throw I'll do extra credit, I'll throw every single thing at the teacher as possible, but they've been failing all year.
It's not just one kid, though. It's several kids. And it's several kids who've been paid a lot of money to know what they're doing. Right. In the end, any business that you run that big, you are operating on behalf of two things: the fans and the shareholders.
Yep.
If you cannot do that, there's no reason for you to be here.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, because if you make the fans happy, you'll make the shareholders happy because you'll bring in the money. So it's really about focusing on what is going right, and the problem is a lot of the times they want to be right more than doing right.
That's right. That's exactly it. Look, Walter Hamada, personally, I got nothing against the guy. People think I do, but I don't.
Right.
I just look at it this way from a purely business perspective. A lot of people really enjoyed that movie Joker. Okay.
Yeah.
Got some love, got some money. Movie made over $1 billion. It even got some Academy Award love. How do you negotiate to finance a movie and then end up with a movie that you spent very little money on, but with a huge back-end return? And Warner Brothers personally does not really benefit from it. Right. They didn't make very much money off that movie.
So how did they not make money on it?
It was how it was negotiated. Warner Brothers never thought that the idea of this movie was going to be very big.
Right.
In fact, it was a cheap movie to make. And so when they were negotiating how to work out the financing for the movie, they went ahead and thought they were pulling a fast one by allowing, I think, another studio that came in to finance it with them to basically take the majority, and they were the ones spending majority of their money.
I didn't realize that part. Okay.
Yeah. Now remember, the same people that made that deal are the ones telling you that Wonder Woman 84 is a great movie, isn't it? That Joss Whedon, he can really make a Justice League movie. You don't want any of that, Zack Snyder. Yeah, the same geniuses who made that deal.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind a Joss Whedon movie if he was actually the one in charge of running it.
I don't think you'll be able to get Joss Whedon to run very much of anything.
That's probably true.
That's the reason why you don't even hear his name on the Disney lot anymore.
Right.
Okay.
Right. No, I realize.
But you know
I realize that there are things out there that
he's going to go back to doing what he was doing before. Joss Whedon, before he became Joss Whedon, was really one of the best script doctors in town.
Right.
And so he's probably just going to go back to script doctoring, which you can actually make a lot of money doing.
Right.
And so
he's good at it, which he is.
Yes.
That it's kind of like trying to switch like what sport you're playing. If you're really good at basketball, there's nothing wrong with playing baseball, but let's try to keep you in the basketball court for the most part, for the majority, especially if somebody's paying you millions of dollars.
Yes, and that's what it comes down to. You have a lot of money being spent.
Yeah.
And you cannot afford to really do anything that is going to disrupt your ability to be able to pay it back, let alone have your shareholders benefit from any financial windfall based on that. Yep. Wonder Woman 84 made a lot of people happy, supposedly, but the financial portion of it wasn't the best. And given what was done creatively to that and the people that were responsible for it, there's a reason why Patty Jenkins right now is looking to do a Star Wars movie, which I would have to say to Patty Jenkins, I love you. I do. You're great. The first Wonder Woman movie was fantastic. I wouldn't make any major plans with your Star Wars film quite yet until after we have an announcement in a couple of weeks. So
I love it when you tease us with these things.
Let's just say there are some major changes coming which could affect the future of Star Wars. And if you are a Star Wars fan, you are going to be over the moon with what's about to happen. If you've been a fan of a lot of the things that have gone on in recent years, then prepare to be a little sad.
I mean, other than like Mandalorian, like everything else is like, man.
Yeah, well, prepare to be excited again, because what's about to happen should make all Star Wars fans very, very happy, because the future of Star Wars is going to be exciting. Just exciting.
idea.
No doubt.
There's about to be a lot of good news, and I think that's about what we're gonna get in a couple months with Warner Brothers. Once David Zaslav gets everything going, I think we're about to get a lot of good news. Now, that said, a lot of people might enjoy a lot of the films that have already been completed. Movies like The Batman. That film was made under the let's not be, part of the Snyderverse thing.
Right.
And I noticed several people have been going with the rumor that they're going to try to put the Michael B. Jordan project with that. That's BS. Both of those were developed separately. In fact, Walter Hamada's whole thing has been about developing separate projects and not creating universes. That's not his problem. The guy just doesn't know comics at all, period. Which, again, you don't have to, but it helps.
Well, but if you don't know comics, be a good business person and put people who do know comics in roles that make sense for the movies. It's one of the reasons that, you have successes over at Marvel.
Well, it's one of the reasons why you've had successes when they've been around for even DC films. Yeah. Look, here's the thing.
Put them in the places.
It is Warner Brothers, as I've said on your show before, is actually in the middle of its third phase.
Yeah.
Okay? They've had 3 phases. We are in the current phase, which is the Walter Hamada phase, the anti-Zack Snyder phase. Okay? The second phase was what we like to call the DCEU, as fans have called it. I call it the phase 2, which included Zack Snyder along with Chris Nolan and his crew, and everybody that came in under that, David Ayer, Patty Jenkins, all of that. And that has been really successful, okay? And then we have the first phase. First phase is the one that I often tell people, that should have been your clue as to how things were going. People are always saying, well, how come, during the second phase, they didn't follow Marvel's formula? Let me tell you something. No studio really wants to follow that formula. I know it sounds like it's expensive to do.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to keep straight. And unless you have someone who really knows what they're doing in charge, it's probably not good to follow it. Warner Brothers was never going to follow that formula. Why? Because the Justice League film that Zack Snyder made was actually the second Justice League movie put into production in the last 20 years. The first one, guess what? Never had any films building up to it.
Right.
It was just going to be released. They casted all the roles. They were working on everybody's costumes. They had already built half the sets. And they backed out of it at the last moment. But that was going to be a reality. And they've made several other movies. Many of the things that Kevin Feige, and again, I give him credit for being one of these guys that likes to take ideas from different places. He's been watching Warner Brothers really close. He's been watching a lot of the things that they've had success with. And one of the things that they've really had success with is for films that you may not think are DC films that have been very successful. As I said before, Heath Ledger really is the first person cast in a comic book movie to win a major Academy Award for acting.
Right.
That would have changed had things just gone a little bit different a few years before. Okay? A History of Violence starring Viggo Mortensen. That's a DC comic.
Yeah.
Okay? A lot of people didn't know that. And that film got a lot of Academy Award love.
Right.
Okay? The movies Red 2. Those are DC comics. The Losers, starring Chris Evans. That's a DC comic. Constantine with Keanu Reeves. That definitely a DC comic. There have been a lot of them. And that was all part of the first phase.
Right.
Those were all films released during the first phase.
The thing is they weren't marketed as DC Comics.
No, they weren't. They were marketed just as movies.
Right, and so a lot of people have no idea.
Right.
They are just clueless. And that's when you say, when people are talking about DC comic movies, and they're oh, this one's this or this one's that, and no one ever throws those out as even talking points, because it's not something that people realize.
Yes. And
not good movies.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there's a way to really look at this. You have the thing about DC Comics is they were the first comic book company to truly take advantage of being in Hollywood. And it's not that Marvel didn't. It's just that Marvel and other comic book companies didn't have the standing. Okay? Right. DC Comics was the #1 comic book company for decades. Yeah. They have done deals with everybody. They have put out comic books connected to all kinds of personalities. They've done comic books based on, adapting movies and television shows. And Marvel's done the same thing. But DC was considered the gold standard for decades. And that, I think, started with the 1943 Batman film, and then the 1948 Superman movie, and the 1950s Superman movie. Okay? I often tell people, there are people that look at the late Richard Donner's Superman as the gold standard for modern day comic book filmmaking.
Right.
With that as your gold standard, then you got to understand, if you don't know the name Kirk Allen, you really aren't a big Superman fan. Okay? For instance,
I know the name and I'm not a big Superman
fan. Kirk Allen was the guy who originated the role on film of Superman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's no one else. George Reeves was the guy that got hired to take over after Kirk Allen.
Yeah.
Okay? And he is the star of the third Superman film made, okay, called Superman versus I think it's Superman versus the Mole Men. I think that's something the like one.
That, yeah.
It was a pseudo pilot. And the reason why that worked is that a former DC Comics executive went out to Hollywood to help oversee that film. And then to turn that movie in, it became a pilot for the Adventures of Superman television series.
Right.
Which then became a hit show. And again, depending on when you grew up, that was your show.
Right.
Okay. Then you had in the 60s, just for your own education, a lot of people love the Batman show of the 60s. Okay, that's 1966 to 1968, 69.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know the character of Batgirl made her debut in comics about 1961?
I did know that. But that's
you did.
Batgirl.
That's right. Yeah, but for the television series, they changed everything.
Right. Well, in that. Actually, my father has the comic that introduces the original Batgirl. So
what?
So yeah.
That's a good one.
I think, and the original Batwoman. So, but now, if I'm remembering right or have read right, they actually introduced Barbara Gordon in January, and then introduced her on the Batman series season 3 in September. So. She actually made her debut in comics just a few months earlier, but if I'm remembering that correctly, Keith.
Actually, that's not Barbara Gordon.
No, I thought it was. I thought they introduced Barbara Gordon.
No, it's her name is Betty Kane.
No, but Betty Kane was prior to that. I mean, like you said, it was 61.
Yeah, Betty Kane.
But I'm talking about when they introduced Barbara Gordon.
Yeah, Barbara Gordon was later. That was because of the television producers. Batgirl is Betty Kane. And it's that version of Batgirl that Alicia Silverstone was based on for the movie Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
Betty is blonde.
Right.
And she and Kate were Batwoman and Batgirl respectively.
Right.
And they actually kept the character in comics for quite a while. She was actually a member of the Teen Titans.
She was. I do remember that.
And since then, they found different ways of doing different things with the character, even cutting her out or whatever. All kinds of weird, unusual things. I like Barbara Gordon.
Right.
I like Betty Kane too. I mean,
Right.
you know, when I learned who she was and what she did and how wealthy she was. But
but as far as Barbara Gordon is concerned,
yes,
because I went back and reread some stuff on that. My understanding, because I think it was 68, 69, whenever they introduced her in the series, that was in September.
1967.
67. So that was in September that they introduced her.
Yes.
And then, but prior to that, earlier in the year, they actually introduced her in the comics.
Yes. And kind of the same way that Chekhov magically shows up in the second season of Star Trek.
Right.
You know, 1967. Wow, what a year to add cast members. But the thing about that show is that it's a show that is mainly taken from a lot of the Batman comics of the 1950s.
Right.
The look, the action, the whole pals, that is all taken from the 1950s Batman comics.
Right.
And that is also the inspiration for the movie Batman and Robin starring George Clooney. Which, again, I've often told people, look, it's great that you enjoy the 60s Batman, but if you ever wanted to see what it would be like with today's visual effects and everything, Batman and Robin. Notice how the public didn't really take to it. It's not that I hate the show. It's just it's a very unusual version of the character taken from a very unusual time in the character's history. Because when you look at Batman in the 1940s,
right,
it's a completely different character. In fact, his original first year appearance is very different. In the 1940s, he and Robin are just bad A's. I mean, they are just beating the out of people. No, they're not killing anybody, but they're making sure you hurt.
Yeah.
Right.
And Robin is very smart. You know, the whole holy this, holy that. I wasn't really a part of his vocab until later on in the 40s and into the 50s. That was mainly a 50s thing.
Yeah.
Robin
because
was
they were trying to make it, and this is going to sound weird, but in the 50s, the drive for all kinds of pop culture was trying to make it as wholesome as possible.
Yeah, because of what happened in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
Right.
The seduction of the innocent and all that other stuff. Yeah. And that was it. Everybody had to change how they were doing things because they didn't want the government to get involved. Yep. And that's when Marvel Comics decided, you know what? I'm going to light the cigar, flip you the bird, and tell you to stick it where the sun don't shine. Because Marvel didn't want to put that on their covers. They didn't want any kind of certification. They decided, you know what? That's not for us.
And that's a big deal, though. That's like, when you go back and you read the original comics of Batman or the early comics of Batman, it's very dark, it's very gritty. For the time, it was way grittier and had way more violence. I know it's not violence like what we think now, but for that time, way more violence. And then it just became this kind of candy coated comic with this character that you knew, but they toned it down to this almost comical thing. Mm-hmm. And then that translated into the 60s show because the people who were doing it at that time were the people who were like, this is the Batman I remember.
Kind of, sort of. It was part that. The real thing is that you had William Dozier, who was wanting to try to equal the success of the Adventures of Superman.
Right.
And he wanted something that would allow him to do something kind of, cool, but also, and for him, comic books were always a kiddie thing.
Yeah, very kitschy, very like.
So, yeah. And that mentality that made the Batman television series of the 60s is the same mentality that led the producers who worked with Richard Donner to do what they did to him and what they did to those movies.
Yeah.
Their idea for Superman, making a Superman movie, was more along the lines of the 60s Batman series. Right. And that's what Richard Donner didn't want to do.
Right.
His thing was like, no, you can't do that.
We have a comment from Jason, and I apologize, Jason, for not getting to this sooner, because he wanted to say this about the Star Wars news. This is Jason Knight, by the way. It's great news for Star Wars, but bad news for Indiana Jones.
Yeah, but look, you're going to have to, in order to get to the good stuff, you are going to have to go through some stuff. And in order to get to where we would like to go overall with Lucasfilm and the future of all Lucasfilm-related films, we're going to have to bite down a little bit and take the pain when it comes to Indiana Jones. So that hey, I look at it this way: it might actually be a good movie. I'm not sure, but it may actually be. And if it is, I'll enjoy it. But I'll also look forward to the fact that we just won't have to deal with certain bad influences behind the scenes anymore, and we can all go back to happy films.
There you go. So, is it true that Indy's going to find the frozen carbonated Han Solo encasing in a cave? Because that's what I'm hearing.
You're giving away too much.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. I mean, we've already got aliens introduced in 4, so it's not really that much of a leap, right? So,
well, I'm just looking forward to the time period this film's going to be in. I still think that it wouldn't hurt to go another decade up from there, but
right.
I'm happy with what we're getting.
So, what are we getting? Because I'm not even sure right now.
I think it's late 60s, early 70s.
Okay.
And that's about right,
Right.
Although given Harrison Ford's age, we could have easily have done early 80s.
Right. And then he could have been like, what's the big hype about the Star Wars movie people are talking about?
Again, I'm not sure if they're going to go with the original history of Indiana Jones. So that leaves things kind of wide open. But under his original biography, having Indy make it into, 1981 means that he's only alive for another 20 years.
Right.
But they don't want to do that for whatever reason. So we're going to get something kind of exciting.
So what's happening with Shia LaBeouf, and why is he not a part of this since he's Indy's son? And
because the people that are currently working on this film have a particular idea of how they want to move forward with this, and so certain phone numbers and people they've decided not to call.
That's a good answer. So let's talk a little bit about some of the projects that have been announced.
Yeah.
With Warner Brothers, since we kind of know that it sounds like the people that are in charge of Warner Brothers that know that they're on the way out, are trying to be like middle school girls and be as spiteful as they can on the way out.
Yeah.
Is that am I understanding that correctly? That
they're little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your feelings on these projects that are out there that are going to be done? Shazam 2, Black Adam, which seems to be different.
Yes.
And then you've got, of course, the Batgirl that was announced with Barbara Gordon, but Is that our Barbara Gordon? So what's your expectations for these films?
Let me tackle that in the order that you asked. Shazam 2. You know what? More fun from everyone. And again, with Dwayne Johnson as one of the producers.
Right.
There is nothing currently that has been done with Shazam that cannot be added into the Snyderverse.
Right.
Okay. In fact, the first movie, while it was to have been considered outside Snyder, it was a Snyderverse movie. And the way it's going to work out, probably before that film comes out, it will be again. But it's look, this is going to be fun. Helen Mirren, and the entire returning cast.
Right.
I was in the day they announced it.
Right.
Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods. Oh yeah, I'm down. I'm down like round round.
Shazam was such a fun movie. Like,
yes.
And it was a movie that was a comic book movie that didn't take itself so serious, and it showed, and it looked like they were having fun making it, which is important. Like, you can feel that vibe. So
well, and we know that several of the actors are big comic fans, and big fans of what's going on, and they just it looked like they were just having a good time, and that translated perfectly on screen.
Yeah, David F. Sandberg looked like he was having the time of his life making something that was kind of, well, this is like one of 2 comic book movies that have been released that have used Ferris Bueller when describing how they wanted to make their film, because the first Spider-Man film was kind of like that,
right?
And for the MCU, Spider-Man: Homecoming was described like that, and I think you cannot go wrong if you want to kind of go that direction. You know, you want to kind of do sort of like some Ferris Bueller type stuff. There, you cannot go wrong doing that.
Especially when you have comic book characters that have that youthfulness, like Peter Parker and like Shazam,
Billy Batson,
It adds to that, and you can have that, quirkiness and that fun and that carefreeness that you can't technically, like, it doesn't work as well for like a Batman movie, because
it doesn't work that well for Batman. It doesn't work that well for Iron Man. Nope. It doesn't work that well for a lot of adults. You can't really get away with it. Well, if they decide to do a version of Gotham Academy from DC Comics, that might work, especially if you go with Damian Wayne.
Yes.
As part of it.
Not a fan.
Yes, but he would bring that, like, you could totally do Gotham Academy and bring that high school cheekiness, attitude, cliquey, all of those things that happen in high school. You could bring it. That's probably the only way you could get away with that with like a Batman driven movie.
Yeah, well, now my suggestion with Damian Wayne is only as a cameo appearance. Gotham Academy was really about 2 young girls who are at this academy, and they start to investigate a lot of strange things happening at their school. Yeah. And in one of the issues, Damian Wayne is a new student who's been enrolled.
Yeah.
And one of the girls has a big crush on him. But
he's a cool guy. He's a serious guy. He's the, bad boy.
He's a kid with a lot of secrets, and given how he was raised, has probably ended the lives of a lot of people over 20.
Yeah.
But it makes it's very much. It could be very much like those things, but you couldn't do a Wonder Woman movie with the cheekiness of like the Spider-Man and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think 1984 kind of proved that. I feel like they tried to get that like youthful, weird vibe going on with it, and it just didn't hit. Nothing hit. And I love Wonder Woman, and I watched 1984 twice. because I was hoping that the second time I watched it, I would like it a little bit more. I didn't hate it as much as everybody else did because I took it as a last-ditch attempt of like trying to do something that it shouldn't have been doing. But you can't do that. You can't force. I hate it when people try to force these characters that are like they're decades old. They're older than most of the people who are trying to make these movies about.
Yes. Yes.
And you can't try to pigeonhole them into something just because that's the cool thing to do right then.
Yeah.
And you can do that with Peter Parker and Spider-Man. You could do that with Shazam because they're youthful, and if you modernize it, you can bring it up. But you can't do that with a classic person like a Bruce Wayne and Batman, a Wonder Woman, Iron Man. Like, you have to keep them in a little bit of their maturity level for movies, because if you try to put in the kooky, we just don't like it as much.
It's weird. You can go ahead and use that word.
Odd.
I think you can do it, but your writing has to be there for it. You have to be able to write the script in a way that introduces it that makes sense. The script for Wonder Woman 84 was not very good. It had many holes. And I didn't hate it either, but it definitely wasn't. It wasn't the first Wonder Woman movie.
No, the first Wonder Woman was beautiful.
Yeah.
I look at it this way. You have a lot of fans that have had differences of opinion about the quality of the Spider-Man films, the X-Men movies. I believe that if you thought that X-Men 3 was a bad movie compared to X-Men 1 and 2, then you have the right to say that about 1984 Wonder Woman.
Right.
Which did something even worse than X-Men 3, which is you are a sequel to another movie. When you do things, who's that? Who's that? Hey buddy. How's it going, big man? When you are a sequel to another movie, you don't forget things. You don't misrepresent the first film. And the opening of Wonder Woman 84 misrepresents the movie because and again, this sounds like nitpicking, but this is really, if you really enjoyed the first movie, then the opening scene makes no sense in conjunction with the first film.
Right.
84 makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
A lot of that movie makes no sense. I understand what they were going for. But Patty Jenkins is on record for being someone that does not like to follow what has come before. She wants to be free to make whatever she wants. And that's great. That's fine. Okay? It's just that we're paying you a lot of money to make the sequel to a film that a lot of people really like.
Yeah.
I totally get that you want to be free to do whatever you want, but your butt better be free to do whatever you want within the context of making us some money and making a good sequel.
But don't rewrite the story you already told.
Right.
Okay, if you're a totally different person coming in and writing and directing and stuff, and you want to do a Wonder Woman movie and you want to take it a whole different direction, go for it.
Yes.
But don't take something where you have her, like, the things that she said about, like, Bruce, you brought him back to me. Like, dude, you just saw him in 1984.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, she forgot.
She forgot the love of her life and that she saw him.
Well, like everybody else kind of forgot everything that happened and that whole thing. Then that reality kind of closed and that memory of it vanishes.
But it was such a bad choice to do that. And I didn't have a problem with them setting it in the 1980s. I think the costuming was fun. But I think trying to force like a sequel to the love story that you literally pulled off.
Creepy love story.
Yes. In your first movie, if you're trying to do a sequel and you have your love interest and you're like, he's dead, but we can't bring him back like Ghost Patrick Swayze, what can we do? Oh, let's just like hijack somebody else's body.
I mean, I could have written a better idea than that. You could, when the plane exploded, it opened up a gap in the time-space continuum, and ultimately he ends up in 1984.
Way
You don't
back.
even have to work that hard. You don't have to work that hard at that either. The thing about Wonder Woman is that her story is mixed in with the ancient Greek gods,
Right.
which means that Steve's in the afterlife.
Right.
You've
Go get
already had two films. One, the Clash of the Titans and Wrath of the Titans. In Wrath of the Titans, you know, the main character Perseus goes to the underworld.
Right.
Hey,
right.
guess what? Diana can do the same.
Yeah.
Storm Hades gates.
I mean, the thing about it is there were so many ways they could get away with bringing him back that would have made way more sense with her character, her story, her backstory, just everything. But instead, they made it this weird, like, possession.
It's cringy.
It is.
It's cringy.
I am not even gonna lie. I was shocked when I watched it, because I watched it and the first time I didn't like. I was just like trying to enjoy it, which was a lot harder than I wish it.
Than it should have been.
Yes, but the second time I watched it, all I kept thinking was, dude, she's doing stuff with somebody who's not okay with that. Like, he's not consenting to that stuff. Like, it's very, for a women-driven movie, and it flips that switch and it gets really close to that whole, I don't know. And I know that's not their intent. I know their intent was to be like a love story and
magic
and stuff. Yes.
Rainbows and
but
unicorns.
The reality is he's using somebody else's body. That's not his.
And it wasn't even really him.
No. It's just, it was the weirdest thing. And I was like, when I watched it, I'm like, why did they do this? Because like you said, she has, where like Thor has his, place in Celtic gods and that kind of
Norse stuff.
She has hers in that Roman, like Greek.
Roman,
And she battled Hades. Or and she could have battled Hades. Just have her battle Hades. She already did Ares.
Kick down the door.
Right. And that has been done in like you said, the couple movies. Even freaking Percy Jackson. Kids' books have them go to the underworld. Like it has
Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted. And if you wanted it to be cheeky, you could have done it like a Bill and Ted. Like, you could have done it like Wonder Woman meets Bill and Ted. Like that sort of thing.
I would watch that. Right? Holy crap, I would watch that.
Like Wonder Woman, it becomes that, she goes to death, which is Hades, and she tries to bargain for Steve's soul. Like, it could have been so much better than it was. But the problem is they try to force these characters, whether it's their storylines or, making them something they're not in casting sometimes. And they try to force these agendas or these things that they think are going to make them money. But comic book fans, and I think I can say this wholeheartedly, comic book fans or sci-fi fans, we're really passionate about our characters and our fandoms and what we like. And when you change something like that and you make it's like you're making a mockery out of what we love, and we don't respect that. And that's not going to make you money.
Nope.
I mean, I know people who love Wonder Woman, myself included, who watched it, and we're like, oh, okay, but is it something that if I had to buy DVDs, would it be something I would want to buy a DVD of it? No. And that's the thing. And is it something I'm like, oh my gosh, it was amazing? No. The first one, everything I ever wanted in a Wonder Woman movie was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, okay, well, we have this cash cow Wonder Woman. now, we're a successful movie. Finally, we've got like this huge cash cow of like a superhero movie, and let's throw her into 1984 and do something really weird with her.
Let's subvert expectations.
Yeah, it was such a waste.
That is never a good idea. That is never a good idea to subvert expectations.
Right.
People who throw that around are idiots. Yes. Okay. I just think that overall, I mean, I agree with everything you just said, and I use again as Exhibit A, X-Men 3.
Right.
You notice, hey, remember that time we kind of cured mutancy? No, you don't. Right. Remember when we all took those drugs and became normal for a while? Oh, you don't? Okay.
Do you remember when Juggernaut was 5 foot tall and looked like he was a middle school linebacker rather than a towering? Yeah.
I don't recall any of that.
And when you actually gave me Kitty Pryde, but you disappointed me with Kitty Pryde? What? Oh.
Yeah.
So I don't remember any of that. None.
This is what I keep saying. Unless you are Marvel Entertainment with Disney, none of these studios really give a rip. They don't. They do not care. Yeah. They could care even less. And
Disney, though, has years and years of experience pandering to their fans. Knowing what their fans want. Like they do.
True. You're right.
Knowing what their fans want. Knowing that if you give the fans what they want, you make money.
I'm going to sell
Some
toys.
would even say they have years of experience getting you to like what they're going to give you.
Yes. the marketing and when people talk about Disney and they're like, and they hate on Disney, I'm like, I get part of that, I do, but years and years of not only like conditioning us to accept them. I mean, it goes back to when we were kids and we were watching Disney cartoons, but also realizing that their fans for certain things are smarter than children that they're pandering to for kids cartoons. They have to up the game and they have to make it make sense to the fans who are going to buy the tickets. It's pure business. I can have like what I think is the greatest product in the world, but if no one else gets it, I ain't making money off that.
Right.
I have to make something that everyone else will like, even if I hate it. I'm like, I don't understand why that sold, but okay. It's pure business, and Disney is as successful as they are because of business minds and putting creative people where the business minds don't go. They have always, since Walt Disney himself, have always had this ability. There have been a few years where it didn't quite mesh as well, but they have, for the most part, if you look at them as a corporation wholly, they have their creative team, their financial team, and their business team. And they leave those people where they are. And a lot of studios don't do that. They're like, oh, well, this guy's really good with numbers. We're going to let him like decide what happens with this movie creatively. Why? I love it when I say stuff and Keith's just like,
it's true. I don't have to say it. I don't have to say it. This lovely lady here, she's got it. You get it.
That's a smart cookie.
Yeah, see, I almost don't even have to be here. We'll just feature you.
We usually do.
I know, right? But no. To get back to Shazam.
Yes,
it is a child fantasy. I mean, it's a nice combination of superheroes and kids, and you mix it together, and you got something really special. Yeah. And it's always special with that cast
Right.
And I'm hoping that Mr. Zaslav can basically take over everything, so we can at least film a special Henry Cavill cameo at the end for Shazam 2, because that'd be great.
Right.
But
Which
even if we don't get it,
we thought we were getting it at the end of the first one. And,
yeah, well, you know, certain people who shall remain nameless, but
who we've already named.
Yeah, WH. Or as I like to call him on our show, Wally.
Wally.
Oh, look at you.
So,
Your face is like I'm judging you.
I look. I have that right, considering how much money he makes a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, you are the head guy for DC Films. I'm gonna judge you because
As we should.
You know,
we have the right. We spend money on their products, which means we pay their paychecks, which means we have the right to judge them.
Again, you know, it's not like see, everybody wants to have Kevin Feige over to their house. You know, they want to be Kevin Feige's friend. Yeah, Walter Hamada, yeah, okay, you can go ahead and I'll eventually call you back. I don't know.
Are you paying me something? Because
I think I got to do my hair, you know, but I'll call you back eventually.
I just always forget to text people back. I left you on unread.
I look at it this way. If Dwayne Johnson comes to you with a series of ideas and your constant answer to everything he puts up there is mainly no, you should rethink what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They would have better luck, like, I don't know. They just would have better luck if they just listened to people.
So how crazy is it that the head of DC Entertainment doesn't understand what a pro wrestler is bringing to him?
Well, let me even help you with that. Doesn't understand a person who is certified box office Viagra.
Right. No, that's true. You're right.
He's someone who people really want to see. This guy not only came in and helped to rescue Universal's Fast and Furious franchise, they gave him his own spin-off movie, and look how much money that thing made.
So now they've done something to tick him off. So
and he's just genuinely loved by so many people.
He is.
He's genuinely loved by so many people in our society and culture the way it is right now, which is huge. Like, if you can hit anybody, I don't care if it's an actor or a politician, who people are like, you know what, I go watch him. Yes.
Right.
Like,
and even David Zaslav's like, what are you doing? Wally, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? You know.
and he was so excited about the role. Like,
right.
That's the other thing. Like, it's not like one of those times where you see an actor being part of a role and you can kind of see that they're just doing it for the paycheck.
6 years is how long I think he's been holding on.
For
him to have, you got to remember where he was 6 years ago, and for him to have held on this long waiting to make this movie, which they've just wrapped production. He loves this character. I don't see how much more he could have done to show that he loved the character.
Right.
Because it translates. That's why you have, like, if you don't have a great creative team, at least have a great casting team. And if you can put the right people in the right roles, the movie might not be as good as it could be if your creative team was great, but at least it will put, like, tushies in the seats.
Right.
And it will make money. And he is like you said, a box office Viagra. He makes money on even the things that people are like, wasn't that great? he still makes the money.
Right.
Why would you hold on to that for so long?
What's that? What's that I'm smelling? Is that what The Rock is cooking? Come on.
The thing about it is he translates to so many audiences.
Yeah.
Right.
And he was willing to do this. He wanted to do this. He was the right cast for this role. And he's funny.
Right.
He's charming. He brings all these things to the table. Why hold on to this for so long?
Well, he not only jumped at the chance to do it, and in waiting as long as he did, this guy was in already good shape, and he decided to get in even better shape to get more swole for the role.
Right.
Okay. Right. So I'm not understanding why you would make this guy wait. You know, this is the guy who you pick him up on the first ring. Hello.
It doesn't make sense in any business aspect.
Yes.
You have an ace in the hole. Play it. Don't wait 6 years and then go, okay, well, here you go. Like, okay, we were playing poker like 5 years ago. I don't care that you have an ace now. Like, not that it won't make money and not that it's not good that it's happening, but it's just frustrating because we all knew this was the ace in the hole 5-6 years ago.
You know what? This also puts a new spin on the whole thing with making the New Gods film. You have to understand, all of these same people knew what Zack Snyder was making. They had a pretty good idea of what he had. And collectively went, yeah, that's not going to work. We'll just find ourselves another director and go a different direction.
I can't decide if they're stupid, blind and deaf, or just wanting to create this legacy of horribleness to pass on to generations.
One of the people that helped to make that decision is the guy who wrote the screenplay for Wonder Woman 84.
Well, so stupid it is. Okay.
I'm sorry. He had Wally's job before Wally had it. He was the head of everything. And he was also the producer of the movie Justice League, who came up with the idea of like, we're going to bring in Joss Whedon.
We're not going to let him do anything. We're actually going to cut him short on doing special effects.
That's right. We're just going
to. It's a comic book. They don't do special effects.
And then we'll blame him for how bad it is. First, it's going to be Snyder's fault. Then it's going to be Whedon's fault. That's it.
That's the thing. Is Whedon was the perfect pansy.
Yeah.
He was the perfect pansy to set up for this. And you know, the heat that happened, and you're like looking at it, and when it happened, you're just like, oh my God, he effed this movie up so bad. And it's so bad. And he did. But you look at the behind the scenes stuff, and it's just these people who are committing. It's professional suicide. They have committed professional suicide, but it's drawn out. It's like poisoning yourself for years and years.
You want to know what's worse, though?
What?
The person that we are now talking about, get this. He's a comic book person. He's worked in the industry, and he still did all of this on purpose.
So is it sabotage?
It's called, hey, I got a script, and I think it'd be really, really cool to make. Oh, you don't want to go with my idea? Okay. Oh, you want me to help in making the movie? Okay.
It's a vengeful thing.
He's been waiting a few years, and they wouldn't really allow him anywhere near Chris Nolan because, you know, he wrote a script called The Batman. Does that sound familiar?
It does.
And they decided to go with Batman Begins. And so he took some time and did a few other projects and helped direct the screenplay for the Green Lantern movie. And then went to TV and worked with a lot of CW stuff. And then, you know, he found himself in a job that, like, he controlled everything for a while as far as DC goes, and became the producer on the Justice League movie. And this is after telling certain people behind the scenes that he was not a very big fan of all the stuff that Zack Snyder was doing. But they made him a producer on the movie because, you know, he'd be helpful.
It's because he was jealous that Snyder was doing it right.
And then suddenly you hear about a movie being made where, you know, Ben Affleck's going to do The Batman.
Yeah. The thing is just like, don't put people like that. I don't understand. I feel sometimes when I look at these things, Keith, I feel like I'm screaming at these like deaf, blind, imbeciles, that have no clue what's going on, and I just want to shake them and go, look at this. But you know, that's not my job. I mean, it is my job, but they're not listening to me. So, you know.
This has been what my mind and I have been doing for almost the last several years. Okay, since Man of Steel came out, this is what I have been looking at. This is the circus and monkeys I have been watching. And it is like been a slow motion car crash watching a lot of this stuff. So David Zaslav coming in, I'm the guy going, come on in. Come on in. Yes, come in. Okay, look, love the hockey mask. Here, you take my knife. Okay, now remember, you got people
roll off the red carpet. Just
you got people on the first floor. Some of them may even try to hide in the basement. We got an attic upstairs. Look, I'm gonna go on the other side of the lake and wait till you're done. But basically, I'll lock the door behind you. Have fun, okay? Seriously.
It's like the purge is coming. The purge is coming. So guys, I love you both. Continue talking because I know Keith's got lots more to say. I'm gonna get off here so I can eat dinner and then go to bed.
All right.
But I love you. Bye.
Love you, AJ. See you later. All right.
Okay, now I think the next thing we were going to talk about was let's see. We kind of went over Black Adam in our own way.
Yeah.
So let's get to Batgirl.
Let's get to Batgirl.
Okay. What do you want?
So, what's your one? What do you think of the casting? Two, where do you think this movie's going to go?
Okay, let me just say this. Okay, I love the character of Batgirl. Great story. The young lady who they've hired, fantastic casting. Okay. We're not sure if this is going to be connected to anything. And I know there have been a lot of people going, oh, it's going to be connected to this. And no, it's not. None of this is really connected. And if they figure out some way of connecting it to something, that's fine. But I guarantee you a lot of what you're hearing as far as that connection is coming straight from the office of the guy who's about to find himself jobless in a couple months.
Sure, right.
So let me put it to you this way. I have been anticipating a Batgirl movie for quite a while.
Sure.
I feel bad for this actress, though, because there are no guarantees that she's going to be able to keep working on this once Mr. Zaslav comes in.
Right.
Okay. They could easily just separate this film out, make it its own universe, and that's fine. Although, unless the movie makes a certain amount of money, there's no guarantee there's going to be a sequel, even though they probably have signed her to one. Again, just because you signed for a sequel does not mean you will make a sequel.
Right.
Okay? People come and go. That's usually a part of a whole lot of contracts. And that's what I keep saying about a lot of these other projects. Okay? Yeah, X person may be working on a film that might contradict something, say in the Snyderverse. That doesn't mean David Zaslav has to sign off on the sequel.
Right, right.
Or if there won't be reshoots before the movie comes out.
Right.
Again, you can insert whoever you want. Like, oh, wait a minute. Isn't Ben Affleck currently filming on the set of The Flash? So if that isn't word that, and again, I know that there are certain people going, well, I heard that Ben Affleck's going to X, Y, and Z in this movie. That's fine. I'm sure that's what you heard.
Right.
But there's a long time between even the completion of filming and when this movie comes out.
Right.
If David Zaslav comes into power anytime before this movie is in theaters, I guarantee you there'll be enough time to refilm certain things.
Right. Hopefully without mustaches.
You know what? Even with, they'll at least know David Zaslav will go, we can hire the best people to take care of that rather than
and give them a little time to do it.
Again, it's the same thing I say about the movie The Batman with Robert Pattinson.
Right.
I noticed everybody, when that news came out that Warner Brothers had signed Pattinson to this multi-film deal, that's great that they signed him. That didn't mean anything in the long run.
Right.
If the Batman did not do very well, there will be no more movies.
Right.
This will be it for him.
If it does well, then he's contractually obligated to do them.
But that's if Zaslav likes him.
Right.
If he continues to create problems behind the scenes, Zaslav doesn't care. Zaslav is like the honey badger. He's going to come in and he's pretty much just going to, he either likes you or he doesn't. That's it. There is no in between with this guy.
Grab that snake.
So if Pattinson decides that he still wants to play games, Zaslav will thank him and tell him to go play his games for someone else.
Right.
And again, I will say this. There's a reason why Robert Pattinson is never signed for an MCU film. I'm just saying.
Right.
Just saying. So,
I'm actually looking at it, and I know he's causing problems, and I'm hoping maybe it's his youth and everything else, and he gets all that under control and learns something. Maybe not, but no, I got thinking. I felt like we got robbed when I heard the news that Michael Keaton was going to be Batman. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're bringing in this comedian who I love his comedy, but I love his comic movies, but he was amazing as Batman. So I'm hopeful that Pattinson can do that same thing. They can come in and be a really good Batman for whatever weird universe this is or whatever. I don't know that'll happen. And if he's causing problems behind the scenes, and you don't want to keep that. Nobody needs that headache. But
look, in the end, it's about your creative team.
Right.
Okay? It's about the people who are directly responsible for creating the film that everybody's going to want to see.
Right.
Okay? And Matt Reeves, who is the director of this film, is the guy in charge.
Right.
Okay? As an actor, your job is to follow what that guy says. I don't care who you are.
Right.
If you cannot do that, that means you are not right for the role.
You're exactly right.
Okay? I get that Robert Pattinson was going through some things. And again, I'm not trying to blame him for anything. I'm just saying, if there are issues between you and the director, you guys have to work that out before production starts.
Right.
Because you're costing me money. And on top of that, last year, you had COVID. You had everybody was locked into their homes.
Right.
And you're goofing up. Don't cause problems. Everybody get along. Everybody wear your mask. And basically shoot the script the way that it is because
Right.
you signed off on being in this. You accepted the paycheck. You cashed the check. You got to do the work.
Exactly
if you don't
right.
like it, make the movie uber successful and then come in and talk to the head of Warner Brothers and say, hey, I got some ideas of the sequel and see if they'll listen. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And again, all of this, all of what I am talking about is antithetical to what David Zaslav wants to do and wants to accomplish. This is all bad stuff, ultimately. You know, when you think about the amount of money and time that has been wasted, and all of the time that Warner Brothers wasted in screwing around with Zack Snyder,
Mm-hmm.
we would probably be watching or have already finished and be anticipating the premiere of Justice League 3.
Right.
And he'd be gone. I'm thinking he was really going to make 5 films and be done.
Right.
So all this screwing around, all you've done is kept him around longer. He's made more money off of it. And you've made him more popular than he ever was before.
Right.
So you're screwing around. What did you really accomplish? You know?
It's a great question. Well, if you didn't want him to do Justice League,
you could have fired him.
Right.
Yeah,
before Justice League started. I mean, that's now, and you know my opinion. I was not a fan of Man of Steel, and nor was I a fan of Batman versus Superman. So, didn't think they were bad movies. Just wasn't a fan of them. Didn't think
that's
it was
great.
my thing.
You know what?
So,
that's fine. And again, I agree with you. I am not surprised that there are people that weren't fans. Although I'm also the person that will say, you know, the movies that were released were altered,
right,
without the director's, you know, without the director really being confident in that particular version.
Right. Well, and I know Batman versus Superman was not his idea. That was not where he wanted to go for the second film. That wasn't, and he was brought in on the first one after things already began with Man of Steel. So I realize that, and I admit, man, I really like the Snyder Justice League movie. So I'm all in favor of that. I'm just saying, even if you weren't a fan of his, because Warner Brothers dinked around and did the things that they did, those first 2 movies could have been a lot better. They may still not have been my preference, but at least they would have been a lot better. And then Justice League would have paid off because after watching the Snyder one, I feel that way. I didn't hate the original theater release of Justice League. I liked it for certain things, but the Snyder version was better. So that's just the way it is. Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting that you would do that. Well, if you're going in a different direction, go in a different direction. Just say, okay, we're gonna do things differently now because we need to change the tone or whatever. But doing it in the middle of filming and then changing everything just because you're being spiteful,
and that has nothing to do with business.
Right.
Being spiteful has nothing to do with business.
Again, middle school girl crap.
And ultimately, all you've done is a bunch of people who were making decisions back then will no longer have jobs at this particular place.
Right.
You'll have a whole new set of people replacing them, eager and hopeful that a lot of fans will still stick around to see what they do after.
Right.
And my big thing to all of this is I just have to shake my head at a lot of the wasted time.
Yeah.
You know how many movies could have been done in that time period where all these people were screwing around?
Right.
Because they've cost themselves at least 2 movies.
Right.
Per IP that they were putting out. They've cost themselves at least 2 movies. So, it's wasteful. And you think about it's hard enough making movies. It's even harder when you have to deal with people's personalities and issues.
Right.
And again, that has nothing to do with business.
Right.
And I know there are some people who go, well, it's Hollywood. Look, doesn't matter. Some people are able to pull it together and get it done. That's how you get a lot of the movies and stuff that you get. But if all you're doing is screwing around and just doing the stuff you want to do, and you're really not making that much money, ultimately for the shareholders, then you've got to go.
Right.
There's just no two ways about it.
You do. No, I'm with you, man.
So there are about to be changes, and I would like to say that all of it's going to be positive for the entire comic book film genre, because I really do think that Kevin Feige has been wanting this for quite a while.
Right.
He's been wanting DC films to be very competitive.
Right.
So that he can continue to be competitive in the films that he makes.
Right.
And again, look at who he's going after. I mean, you should feel bad when Kevin Feige decides he wants to go after Zack Snyder.
Right.
Because he's already got a movie in line for him. He knows what he wants. He wants that. I don't know if you've heard that, but he wants Zack Snyder for Ghost Rider.
I did not know that.
And a certain actor has already come forward saying, I'm ready to be Ghost Rider. That's Norman Reedus.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm not saying that that's going to happen. What I'm saying is that Kevin Feige's already ready. He's ready for Zack Snyder. Anytime Zack Snyder wants to come to the Magic Kingdom,
Well, and I'd heard that Superman was over interviewing with the MCU also.
I'm sure he was taking in a pitch. I'm sure he's taking in the pitch. And the thing is, I'm sure he would even do a movie with them. But you got to understand something. Henry Cavill has the role that he's always wanted. Everything else is crazy.
Sure.
He wants to be Superman more than anything else. That much Dwayne Johnson knows.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And has experienced in talking to him. Cavill isn't done with that role yet. And as he keeps saying, he's got the suit in his closet. He's ready to go.
Right.
Every year they wait. It's 1 year less that you're going to have him. Look, at this point, I think they've cost us 2 Henry Cavill Superman movies at this point.
Sure.
Given his age, I think he probably has maybe 1 or 2 more.
Right.
In him. And I've been hearing rumors about how one of the things I've heard is that they're looking at a Man of Steel 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard different things about what that Man of Steel 2 could be.
Brainiac? Tell me it's Brainiac.
I've heard one version where it will be a true sequel, and it'll be Superman versus somebody from his rogues gallery.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard another rumor that they're going to use that. It'd still be a Man of Steel movie, but that it was pretty much going to be it'll pretty much be a film within the Man of Steel venue, Man of Steel storyline, but it'll be World's Finest.
Yeah. That would be good too.
But with an extra added addition. It'll be Cavill. It'll be Affleck, and it'll be Godot.
So the Trinity.
Yeah.
I'm down for that too. I mean, Cavill showed me what the potential he had with Superman and Justice League. I'm like, okay, that's kind of where I want to see where these things were going. So I appreciate that. Plus, I think the writing was better there too. So, yeah.
We are definitely going. Look, as far as David Zaslav is concerned, let me get back to him for a moment. He definitely wants a Justice League 2.
Right.
Okay. So
you kind of left us on a cliffhanger here.
A little bit. I'm thinking that 2-film thing could very well be part of that.
Right.
If there are 2 more films left in him, that could, and I've been hearing that Gal Gadot is also getting close to being done.
Right.
So, you've wasted all this time and all this talent, and a lot of these actors are about ready to move on to something else.
Right.
Okay. So I'm thinking David Zaslav, anybody thinking, man, I didn't like the Snyder stuff. But don't worry, you won't have to deal with it for very much longer. Okay. At this point, bringing back the Snyderverse is only going to last so long. Now, David Zaslav might be that guy that's like, you think we're done just because Zach and some of the actors are gone? Out of spite, I could just keep the whole Snyderverse around and keep going down that road.
Right.
He's the guy in charge, okay? And to me, anything's got to be better than the stuff that we've had to sit through these last few years.
Right.
Okay? The people that have been in charge have not done the best job. The only thing they've done correctly is at least sign off on a few films that people seem to like. But for the most part, they're not doing anything. And as I've said on your show several times, the vault for DC is filled with a lot of really cool things in there that people get to see. The announcement of Michael B. Jordan's Superman film is not a surprise.
Nope.
It is not a surprise at all. J.J. Abrams and Wally have screwed up big time. Because that whole offer was also an insult in a way. About a year ago, when they had the DC Fandom, Michael B. Jordan had already been signed to work with Milestone Media.
Right.
Okay. Now, a lot of people at that time were thinking, man, Michael B. Jordan, is he going to be static? Is he going to produce a static film? Well, what it came down to is Michael B. Jordan was looking for his own superhero feature to do.
Right.
And I remember telling you and everyone else, well, he's looking at Icon.
Right. As he should.
Yeah. So when later on that same year, when Wally decided to approach J.J. Abrams about doing a Superman film and suggested Michael B. Jordan, that was kind of an insult because Michael B. Jordan was already working with Reginald Hudlin on working with the Milestone characters and the Milestone brand of characters. Okay?
Right.
For them to have put that out in the media to let the general public know that they are looking at Michael B. Jordan to become the Black Clark Kent. No. Sorry. That is not what Michael B. Jordan wanted to do. And for those that do not understand, let me spell it out for you. Which would you rather be? Would you rather be someone taking a role, albeit the black version of a role, and be like the 8th person to put the suit on, playing the same character, or would you rather be the first person to take on a DC role and break open an entire character and universe doing that?
I know which I'd rather. Let's be the first one. Let's move into new ground.
Yes.
Because what's the black Superman going to do? Fight the Latino Lex Luthor? I mean, come on. I mean,
well, the Black Clark Kent.
Black Clark Kent. You're right.
With Val Zod, it's a whole different thing.
No, it is. It is.
And again, I think he's got the coolest suit out of all, out of all of the different Superman knockoffs, even the Marvel Superman knockoffs, Val Zod's suit really rocks.
It does.
And I look forward to seeing that.
I would still rather see him as Icon, though. I'll admit that.
True. Icon would be fantastic, but, he's already said in an interview, it's either Val Zod or probably Calvin.
Yeah.
Either one of those would have been fine with me.
Right.
But for all of you out there who may not know this or about these characters, yes, there are 2 black Superman within the DC universe, and neither one of them are named Clark Kent.
Right.
So I think Michael B. Jordan will be fine for either one of those roles.
I agree with that.
And he's, again, I think
he's a good actor. He's a very good actor.
I think even J.J. Abrams is a little miffed with working with some of these Warner Brothers people, because I don't even think really Superman was on his list. It's just that Wally strongly suggested they do this. Well, why would he suggest it? Oh, wait a minute. He suggested it because, Henry Cavill.
Right. Want to replace him. Right.
Yeah. So. Right.
Yeah. Because we got to get past the Snyderverse, because it's just a pain in my butt. So I'm going to be as spiteful as possible with it. Oh my gosh.
A lot of money to waste just to be spiteful.
It certainly is, Keith. Give me half that money and I can do something 3 times as good.
Right? I mean, $150 million and I mean, wow, people.
Right.
I mean, this is the same lesson that Fox had to learn. I mean,
bankrupt.
You make a Deadpool movie for under $100 million, way under $100 million, and you announce another X-Men film, this one Gambit, and you announce that one to come after, and you set that budget at $150 million. That definitely shows you didn't know what you were doing.
Right.
Wow. I mean, it's just so.
The exploding playing cards. That's going to take a lot of special effects.
Yeah, but $150 million. That's
a lot of jokers there.
If you can make like the Bourne films, I think you can make a Gambit movie,
right?
And keep it at least $100 million or less.
I'm looking forward to the MCU take on the X-Men. I'm hoping we get to see some of these characters that have not been used or have not been used correctly from the Fox versions, and honestly, it's majority of them weren't used correctly. But I'm hoping that that's going to get to expand into some of that, because a Gambit film would be awesome.
It would be if done right.
You know what? Make it a Gambit and Rogue film. That would be pretty cool. So,
and again, if you can make something like John Wick, you can make a Gambit movie.
You sure can. So,
this is not rocket science.
Keith, you and I would solve a lot of these problems. They would just hire us, right? Let us have all the money and we won't act like middle school. And when I say middle school girls, a lot of middle school girls don't act this way.
Yeah,
it's just the plastics type of middle school girls that act this way. So, but yeah, it does baffle the mind. Now I want to go back to Batgirl for just a moment.
Yeah.
So. And I know Brittany made this comment because we started this whole conversation about this because Brittany made the comment of, is she going to be a redhead? Which that's Barbara Gordon's big thing, is being a redhead. And as good as our actress is, she doesn't fit that model. She doesn't fit the stereotypical redhead, everything else. And AJ and I were talking a little bit about this before you joined us. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you don't want to hire somebody just on looks. You want them to be the best person for the role. Yes. But sometimes in fans' minds, there are certain characteristics of a character you cannot change. That just doesn't flow. You can change side characters a lot of times. You can... And we were also talking about how if you want to add diversity, the best way to do that is to either create a new character or take one that's you've already got out there that's diverse, and don't revamp a character that is known for this. So what are your thoughts on that? Because I sit on the fence with some of that. So
what you just said reminds me of something that I saw earlier today. I was watching a documentary on on the action heroes of the 80s and the 70s. And one thing I got to say is that in the 1970s, as post-civil rights legislation signing in Hollywood, there was a lot of representation.
There was.
You know, people of color, people of different ethnic backgrounds were being, you know, they were coming into the films, and there were a lot more films made.
Right.
You did not notice a lot of these characters, a lot of these actors and actresses being cast in roles for other types of characters. They were being cast as people of color.
Right.
They were actually making their own movies.
Right.
And in my opinion, a lot of what's gone on the last 3 to 4 years in Hollywood has been more regressive than anything.
Right.
Because you're not allowing people of color, first of all, to come in to create new and original things.
You're exactly right.
You are coming in and you are casting people of color within non-traditional people of color roles.
Right.
And it's all going towards people who originally, you know, when you look at who makes money, whether it's the studio or even the original creator of said character, it all goes back to them. They make all the money.
Right.
So all of your so-called attempts to be progressive is actually technically regressive.
Right.
If you really want to do something exciting, hire a woman or a person of color to come in to create a brand new type of story and groups of characters that you can then populate and do whatever you want with.
Right on.
So, and again, as I've said about DC and even a lot about Marvel too, there's stuff that they have in their vaults. There are characters that have yet to see the light of day.
Yep.
You know, if you really want to do something exciting, hey, guess what? You know, Black Lightning is yet to be in a major motion picture. Right. And while the character of Steel is currently on Superman and Lois, a big screen version of the character would be fantastic. I would love to see what Zack Snyder would do with that character. Heck, I would like to see what Zack Snyder would do with the entire Green Lantern Corps.
So you're wanting them to bring Shaq back? Is that what I'm hearing?
Actually, no. No, but if we do bring him back, we'll put him with Juggernaut from X-Men 3 and just do a Buddy Road movie. Solve that one real quick.
But you know, that may not be half bad to watch.
It'd be better than a lot of the stuff that's being greenlit now. But no, it's just there are a lot of characters. Right. There are a lot of different ways to go. And to me, there are a lot of people that have created things who aren't even being allowed in the door to take a meeting.
Right.
Their ideas are not even being considered. Because it's not part of something that people have already seen.
Right.
You know,
if you know, as someone who likes to watch movies, I really love to watch something I've never seen before.
Right. Right.
I don't want to watch Superman fighting Lex Luthor with nuclear missiles again. I really don't. But give me something I've not seen before on screen. Boy, that gets me excited. So
Black Lightning.
Black Lightning would be awesome. Well, now his costume has to be better than it is on the CW. I like that show, but
I would love to see a Teen Titans film.
Yes,
with all of the Teen Titans in it, including Bumblebee and the Guardian.
Right.
And I'd love to see a Legion of Superheroes film.
Oh my gosh.
I mean the Legion of Superheroes from the 1970s, not the recent version by Brian Michael Bendis.
The 1970s through anytime
1980s.
Anytime pretty much in the 1980s before kind of they started rebooting it. But the original, and talk about a diverse group. if you want diversity, Legion of Superheroes lends itself to diversity.
Big time.
I mean,
you don't have to recast anybody.
Nobody. But I mean, my gosh, there's so many cool characters. There's so many characters of all sorts of skin colors because all these aliens. You don't have to do that crap. You can put people in really awesome roles to make really cool characters by doing that.
And again, I brought this up before. You don't have to struggle too much. I'm pretty sure that Reginald Hudlin's phone still rings. Walter Hamada and everyone at Warner Brothers right now could greenlight the entire universe for Milestone.
Right.
And bring in all those characters.
Which
right
would
now.
Be amazing.
Right now they could do it. And the fact that they haven't yet says more about that than anything else. The fact that even J.J. Abrams hasn't wanted to do a deal with Reginald Hudlin to do that says a lot.
It does, unfortunately.
And so I just think that, I'm just done with it. I'm if you really want to do something and show true diversity and have characters that you've never seen before, there is a laundry list of characters from both Marvel and DC that have never seen a lot. Look, I'm waiting. Look, I know that there are people out there that enjoyed the Black Widow movie. I did not hate Black Widow. But my thing is, I would have rather seen Natasha turn to the Daughters of the Dragon to help her take down this bad guy rather than do a whole kind of family thing, because in having to rewrite the backgrounds of some of these characters in the translation from comics to film, the Red Guardian thing is kind of having him be Nat's father figure is kind of, doesn't work.
Well, and it's, as we saw, he wasn't really much of a father figure.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if you know the history of the Red Guardian in Marvel with Natasha, but they were married in.
Okay, I did not know that one. Is it that version? Because I know what's he like the third version of Red Guardian?
They were exes.
Did not remember that. And I'm a big Natasha fan. I actually know a lot of her history, but I did not know that.
Yeah, they rewrote it like that. It's like, wow, okay, that's
okay. Now that does, I can see concern with that. Yeah, I did not realize that.
And again, it would have made more sense given what is to come.
Right.
In future Marvel films, that it would have made more sense to have the Daughters of the Dragon.
I would have loved the Daughters of the Dragon. I was so hoping that's where Iron Fist was leading, and which the first season, yes, we know that was kind of rushed on Netflix. The second season was better, and I really kept hoping, let's have a spinoff with Daughters of the Dragon, because they were actually the best part of those movies or that series. So I don't know. But yeah, I would so be into that. That would be a really cool one. And again, diversity just right there. You don't have to make stuff up. It's just there.
It's Lethal Weapon, but with women.
Right.
Oh!
How could that not be cool, right? Come on.
And then with Black Widow in the middle of it, just the three of them. I would take those three against any group of bad guys.
Right.
And it would have been the MCU's version of Charlie's Angels, but better. Oh, man, they missed out. I mean, just.
No, I'm with you there. Now, pitching that, I'm like, dude, why aren't we doing that? So,
see, Kevin Feige, call me, man.
I know, right? Kevin, we can help you out here, sir.
I mean, you didn't need to have superpowers for any of these ladies.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Agreed. So, yeah, Well, I'm excited with hope that the DCU will get going, that we will have really good movies, and if they're linked together, that's awesome. If they're not linked together, okay. I'm hopeful for more Justice League sort of things. More, I love the idea that you can bring other characters in and have that, and have people show up and kind of expand your universe. I love that. But if you can't do that, at least put out good movies that are enjoyable, because you're right. Even though I may be more of a Marvel fan, always, even in the comic books, if the competition's doing well, then that means I have to bring my game to the A game.
Mm-hmm. You can continue to justify large budgets for your films, because you can then say, hey, you see what they're doing over there? If we're going to keep up, we got to spend just as much. We got to go after all these A-list stars and all this A-list talent so that we can continue to dominate on some level, and again,
I'm with you.
Call me, guys. Call me.
Well, and Kevin Feige gets that. I mean, that's the funny thing, because he's made comments in interviews like, I think we'll be even better once the DC gets going, because they're going to push us. We want them to do well because they're going to push us to do better.
And I will say this. I think certain people have been listening to what I've been saying about Justice League 2 and 3. Now that it's looking like they're going to release that as part of a motion comic, that would mean that the original idea for Justice League 2 and 3 can now be changed. Zack Snyder can come up with something new for Justice League 2 and 3. Because now you can actually go online and find the actual outlines for Justice League 2 and 3 and see what they had originally had planned. Okay?
That would be cool.
Again, as I've said before, this is all pre-Infinity War.
Right.
Okay? So just realize that. And now it's different. So they're gonna go a different direction with this. And I'm very hopeful for what we could see. And again, what Walter Hamada had planned will be altered. Mm-hmm. They have signed Michael Keaton to multiple films. It just won't be the films that Walter Hamada originally thought that he was going to place them into. Right. It'll be about pulling together the entire DC brand, and even probably having Michael Keaton cross over possibly into some of the Snyderverse movies. So,
having him in his Batman outfit, looking over and seeing his younger version of himself that's a little different. I can just imagine the facial expressions between those two would be amazing.
Look, I got excited just seeing the car.
Yeah,
in those set pictures that should not have been released, and if you notice, they've all been removed.
Right.
But I got so excited seeing the crew of the Flash as they built the set for the Batcave. I'm beyond excited, and now that Affleck is back and he's got a brand new motorcycle,
right?
That looks even better than the one that Robert Pattinson's driving for the Batman. I'm just saying. Because that one actually looks like it could actually move. And it doesn't look like you have to kill yourself to be able to stop the bike. I'm just saying.
Right.
Just saying.
Right.
It's always fun to come on and talk to you and AJ and everyone, because again, I have so much fun on your show.
Whoa.
And this is the best place to hang out if you just want to geek out. Well, that's really what GeekyKOOL is.
We try to be that. We try to.
No. You are. That's
as you wish.
You are. The best place to hang out if you want to geek out. GeekyKOOL.
I'm going to actually clip that, and then we'll use that in our promotions. Keith from Pop Culture Minefield and.
Hey, here, I'll do it. Hi, this is Keith from Pop Culture Minefield. I just want to say, if you want the best place to hang out, if you want to geek out, it's GeekyKOOL.
Thank you, my friend. That's awesome. That is so cool. So we do appreciate that. Well, we thank you for coming on, Keith. I know you were excited to talk about this, and I'm so glad that I'm glad for our friendship because you're an awesome guy. You are. I really love hanging out with you. I miss hanging out with you more in person, and hopefully we'll get to do some more of that as time goes on here soon. But
I would love to get together, hopefully at an event sometime in the future, where all of us can just sit down and have a nice talk, or even do something like this for all the fans and answer a lot of questions. And
that would be amazing.
You can answer questions, I can just make goofy faces. Which is really what I do.
Well, I don't know. You bring a lot more than that. I mean, we basically, AJ and I did zero prep other than I read through your notes on what you had said to Brittany. So I had an idea, and I'm like, okay, well, Keith's just going to come on, and he's going to give us the lowdown that we're needing to know. Because most fans, we just see what we see in the media here and there. We don't get to see all the behind the scenes and know what you know. And so we always appreciate your insights.
It's always good to learn the names of the people who you truly think are doing the best job.
Right. That's true.
Whether it's Kevin Feige or Victoria Alonso or, a lot of the creatives that are out there that are really doing things that you like. As a fan, you should occasionally just use the current technology that you have, the ability to be able to search and look for any information. Just occasionally check in on these people.
Right.
Check to see what they say. Check to see what they're doing. You're spending a lot of money on their stuff anyway. You might as well check to see, what's going on.
That's true.
And I got a new name for you. It's David Zaslav. David Zaslav is definitely someone to look into. And again, for me, I'm weird like that because all of this Hollywood stuff is like a new version of Game of Thrones, except it's very much real life. And instead of death, it's usually people getting fired or the loss of a lot of money, which again, it's not my money. So I can enjoy popcorn and
It really is the Red Wedding, isn't it? It's about to happen. The Red Wedding is about to happen in WB.
No. I said it's the St. Valentine's Day Massacre for the WB.
That's right.
The Red Wedding will be happening at Disney in a couple of weeks, and that one's gonna be interesting.
So the name Kathleen Kennedy, I don't need to remember probably much going forward.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Right. You can either confirm or deny.
I'm just listening to you
a
say
long
words.
Time ago.
Push air through your lips and just make certain sounds, and that's what I'm recognizing. A
long time ago, Disney, far away.
Look, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I like Kathleen Kennedy. I think she is someone of great. She has accomplished so much, and she could still accomplish even more no matter what happens, because she has the contacts to get a lot of stuff done. And given what she's done up to this point, you cannot tell me that she cannot get an independent film financed, made, and pushed through with all the creative talent behind the scenes that she has access to.
Right.
Okay, all those people behind her. And you're telling me she can't? No, I refuse to believe that. She can do and get a lot more done than a lot of people realize. And there are certain people that owe her big time, Ryan Johnson. Okay, she's really helped to make you, dude. You owe her big.
Even though fans, Ryan Johnson is a very dirty word.
Yeah, I know, but he at least owes.
Oh, right. He certainly
Kathleen
does.
Kennedy big time. So,
and he's done some other things also that are good. I mean, we talk about these people in certain roles. They've not necessarily been really good for our fandoms, but they're talented people that do other things. So, yeah.
Yeah. If you believe in everything that Kathleen Kennedy has attempted to do, the best thing you can do is follow her when she's able to do more on her own.
Right.
And to go to the movies that she makes. That's all. That's really all any of us can do. If Kevin Feige were to call me up and say, "Hey, man, I'm going to put out a movie about a raccoon who decides one day that he's a superhero and he beats up a couple of bad guys. I'm thinking Dr. Doom. Would you go to that movie?" And I would say, yes.
Right.
Because you said it, you wanted to do this. I believe in what you
Right.
I'll do it.
Right.
If he called me up and said I want to make a movie about paint drying, I'm there. I'm there for it because I know he'll make it interesting.
Right. It's true. That is true. Yeah. All right. Well, Keith, thank you so much again for joining us, my friend. We're going to do our little ending thing here, but and of course, we are talking to Mr. Keith, talking about that. He's got his own show, guys. He's not just on Pop Culture Minefield, even though that is a big one. Let's highlight that one. He's over there with Gary, and they do amazing stuff, have awesome interviews, get all sorts of scoops. These guys are fantastic. Now, if you are sensitive to foul language, you may want to watch it with either headphones or a censor.
Yeah, it's a little more adult.
It is.
We have launched something new. Okay. We're doing our own Blade Runner talk show that we're looking at putting on Saturdays now. And,
that would be awesome.
Yeah, I know. So if you are a fan of Ridley Scott's movie Blade Runner and Blade Runner, Denis Villeneuve's sequel to Blade Runner, this might be something that you might want to check out. So,
And for the record, not a replicant.
Now you're ready.
Keith also has his own show. So this will be 3 you're going to have here, right? So Keith chimes in. That's over on the Fat Steven Seagal show on YouTube on Mondays at 3 p.m. Now, I love that name, Fat Steven Seagal, because, Steven Seagal, talking about 80s and action movies. I mean, all those action movies were awesome, tons of fun. And we know that Steven Seagal put on weight, as we all did as we got older. But the name Fat Steven Seagal, it just cracks me up. But
Steven is a really cool guy.
I've not met him, but he seems like it. I really, I would love to meet him. So, but yeah. So check that out, guys. 3:00. We also have some other friends doing this whole geek media thing. We've got the Nerd Informants. They've got their own show. They're going and watching movies again. They're giving reviews, doing all of that great stuff. And these guys are just fun. I give them crap sometimes because they steal our people, but who wouldn't go over and see Josh and Tim, because those guys are awesome. So Josh and Tim are awesome. They also have they have a page on Facebook for people to be able to post cool stuff that's going up beyond just what they're having, including the stuff from GeekyKOOL always ends up over on the Nerd Informants Beyond. That's a great place to check out. We've got our good friends over with the Ozpod gals. They typically are on Thursday nights and posting it to Facebook. We are actually partnering with them and putting their stream over on our sites on typically Fridays. So you can check them out. Go check them out on Facebook. And if you want to watch it again, check it out on GeekyKOOL. Those ladies are awesome.
Yeah, they are.
So, I mean, we are really in Southwest Missouri blessed with great, amazing shows and people doing really cool geek stuff. Don't forget our partner, the Scallywag himself, Shboo over at Scallywag Productions. And Shboo, we're thinking about you as you're still struggling with some health stuff, but his stuff's always amazing. He's kind of on a bit of a hiatus, but when he's back, make sure you guys check him out also.
I know I will.
Yeah, I will too. I can't help but watch. So, and of course, we have GeekyKOOL.com. It's our website that runs this very site. We've got new contributors coming on, as we talked about. Ray, she's got some really cool stuff coming on to YouTube. She's going to be one of our YouTubers and doing all sorts of stuff. She's flat amazing and exciting, and she wants to get in and just do everything. And I'm so excited to see what she's going to bring. In the last 3 months, we've added some new people that's just bringing some extra life for us. So we're real excited. And we've got some people that have been around for a while that have been doing some posting. We had Brian put out a really cool post yesterday. So, the great thing about GeekyKOOL, well, that I think is a great thing, is it's not just one person, it's a community. And you get all sorts of perspectives and interesting things coming about any sort of geek stuff. We're trying to get that covered. So anyway, that's where we're at. Thank you again, Keith. We so appreciate it, my brother. You're at the Hall of Justice, so go in there and make sure they're doing things the right way. Don't let them get away with not doing it the right way. Be Batman in there.
You know what? I'm just gonna go talk to Wally, and we'll work a few things out.
There you go. If you're going to talk to Wally, that'll work out. I really want to go hang out with Snapper. Little Snapper car. That's my groove. You
could do an entire movie like that. I'm telling you.
Right? You could focus on Snapper and all these things going behind him, everything else. I mean, between that and doing a Blue Beetle and those sort of things would be amazing. So, but
you introduce Snapper Carr in one of the Shazam films and make him a friend of that family, and then he can go off and meet others, and it'd be great. It'd be great.
He could be the Stan Lee appearances.
There you go, Snapper Carr.
Snapper Carr. Anyway, here. So again, call us. We've got these ideas that are going to make movies great for you guys. So anyway, until next time, you guys stay geeky out there, and we'll talk to you later.